Welcome
Cool.
to the Clifton Worley Show. This week we have Zack Slater. He is the creator of Birmingham Sounds, and really stoked to have you on the show this week. I'll kind of introduce how we kind of hit it off. Um, I played your pedal at the boutique pedal showcase that Grant Wilson
Oh,
does
cool.
at Summername, and I thought it was really cool. And then that name stuck out to me. And so you did a live stream, I guess a little over a week ago, and I joined in and we kind of chatted back and forth then. I thought it'd be really cool to have you on the show and just kind of let you tell your story of how you got into this and kind of what your musical journey has been like. So Zack, first, if you don't mind, just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into Birmingham Sounds.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name's Zack Slater, and Birmingham Sounds is my pedal company. And man, it's been just a kind of a thing that has been, like a miniature obsession of mine for the last, I guess 4 or 5 years. Just building pedals, and I've just always been into gear. Like even like when I started playing music, right away, like I was, buying different guitars and like a 4-track recorder, and like gear just has always been a huge interest and like passion of mine. So building pedals and stuff had been a thing that I had been really into the last couple of years, and just finally, I just was like, you know what, this is something that I want to do, and I should try it rather than sit around and say what if or I wish or any of those like typical things that a lot of people can fall into really easily. So yeah, I guess I launched it in about April-ish, March-ish, around there, and I've just kind of been chugging along and doing my best to get it out there and getting people to play it and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that you saw it at the NAMM show, because that was a huge honor to be a part of.
Yeah. I really love that space at NAMM, that corner. It's just a really cool spot. And I think we kind of were talking about, we missed each other by a mile, kind of. I was there Thursday, Friday, and then I didn't go on Saturday. And I think if I remember correctly, like you didn't show up till Saturday, so we completely missed each other there. But
yeah, I didn't make it down until Sunday, which was a bummer. But
yeah, it's that show is so small too. Like there's a lot of day trippers, who will go and just spend the day and then head back to wherever they're from, and so it's but I really like the feel of that one.
yeah, I mean, I like it. It's kind of like, I feel like a more curated version of it, and there's just like a lot of cooler, just like it's easier for me at least to see things that I haven't seen before. I've been to the winter one, 3 times, like just as a guy walking around, and there's just so many things, and it's like, it's overwhelming to walk into the Anaheim Convention Center with everything going all at once. It's hard to see everything. So the Nashville one is great. But I also like the winter one, just because if there's anything you do want to see, you can find it. You might have to walk a half a mile to get there,
Yeah.
but
that there was one point in this last winter NAMM I went to where it sounded like I was on the tarmac of like LAX or something. It was insane.
yeah, well, sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just insane. And it's I think you would know where this is at. It's like that very back corner where like they have like a lot of the boutique pedal companies and stuff, like Death by Audio and some of those companies, and they have like this exit where everybody like goes out on the back porch and smokes and stuff. And that is like, to me, outside of the drum area, that's like that's ground zero for just the highest decibel you could ever imagine.
Yeah, and it's funny because like for the last couple of years, my main instrument has been the drums, and I speed walk through the drums. Like I'm like I'll go online if I really want to see it or so. I wanted to see. I don't know, there's like A&F Drum Co. that makes these really cool like old school like patinaed metal drums, and I really wanted to see them. And I was there for like 45 seconds just because it's like 150 people all playing drums, different tempos and different things and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of just breeze through there as quick as I can, just because of the sheer volume. It just gets really loud in there really quick.
Yeah. It's bad, and I think Saturday is the worst because I've decided that either I'm just gonna like skip out, kind of like go in the morning on Saturday and leave, or just kind of find some other things to do, because like it seems like Saturday is the absolute worst for the Anaheim show.
I've never been there on a Saturday, so that's a good a good thing to know. I think I'm going to try to do the whole show this year.
Yeah. It was that day's crazy, and then Sunday to me has been like super chill. So, but enough about that. Let's get back to Birmingham Sounds. Kind of the concept of that, the name, how you came up with it, and kind of what this circuit's all about, and what it means to you.
Well, yeah. So the name actually, I'm not super creative in that aspect, and just the street that I live on is Birmingham Ave, and I had I still have a little studio in my basement, and I kind of was calling my studio Birmingham Sounds, and then kind of just use that name for for the company. But the pedal, the 2017, that's like I had been breadboarding and just kind of working on just making a pedal for myself. Like when I was first designing it or whatever you would call it, there wasn't I'm gonna make this company and all this thing. Like I was just like, I just want to make a pedal that like makes me happy, that I like and that I can use for whatever projects that I am involved with. And so I started that like in late 2016, really, but I thought 2017 sounded cooler. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like where the name came from, and just I am like a like a lot of people, serial collector of pedals, and I just was trying to make, if I could, like one pedal to rule them all, I guess, for me at least. So by design, it has a pretty wide range of gain. Like I've been calling it a wide range overdrive, and just when the drive knob's all the way down, you're like a light crunch, but then if you crank it all the way up, you can kind of get into like a fuzz, like not totally fuzzed out, but like a very saturated gain heavy sound. Mm-hmm. And the EQ, it's like a Baxendale two band EQ, and that was just my I guess my background or whatever, thing that I had been doing for my day job or whatever, had been or still is audio engineering, just like mixing and like a lot of live sound and stuff. So I wanted to have a lot of control with it, EQ wise, instead of just like a normal filter that just cuts out the high end or something like that. So I really kind of wanted to go a little bit and give it a little bit more like flexibility, in tone shaping and all that kind of stuff. And I had a bunch of different versions, and just like trusted friends of mine and stuff, like letting them play it and check it out and taking their suggestions and all that kind of stuff, and kind of just landed where I am. But I'm honestly like just like really proud of it, and really excited to be doing what I'm doing. It's really cool. It's something that I had dreamed about and wanted, but it's like I'm always like afraid to like put myself out there, kind of. And like I'm not like a self-promoter kind of guy or anything like that. Like when I was in bands and stuff, I was never the guy that was like, hey, I'm in a band, you should listen to my band. Like it was, I just can't do that kind of stuff. So I was very kind of like apprehensive, I guess, about doing it, but kind of just got to a point where like I was like, all right, you know what, if I do it and it doesn't work, then at least I can say I tried.
Yeah absolutely. Well, I want to ask about the Baxendale, because I've heard that term thrown around a lot in the gear community, but I guess I'm thinking maybe some of the listeners may or may not understand that terminology. So you could kind of explain that and what's going on there, with those two knobs.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a two-band EQ, meaning that one knob is controlling the low end on a boost or cut, and the other knob is controlling the high end on a boost or a cut. So it's kind of like on my pedal, the home positions are the noon positions. So you can turn it clockwise and it adds those frequencies, or counterclockwise and it takes them out. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, whereas like a lot of normal tone controls, they just roll off the high end.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you a little bit more flexibility in, you can boost and cut, both of those frequencies. There's like a lot of pedals and stuff where you can remove the high end to your taste, but the low end is kind of where it is. So this gives you a little bit more, just tone shaping options and stuff, as far as, being able to actually boost something instead of just, cutting out the other thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So those are, like if you were to, I guess, look at a audio spectrum, from your experience in live sound, are those fixed positions like dead center, like on the bass and the treble, or does it, like as you turn it, go to all different values, like like in the 10K or 150K?
The frequencies are in a fixed position, and it's just a boost or cut of those frequencies, kind of like you could call it like a shelving EQ or something like that. Mm-hmm. There are I've been trying to toy around with a way to kind of be able to select the frequencies like on a toggle switch or something like that, and that's kind of just like swapping out different components within that EQ circuit.
Yeah.
But this one is very I like pedals that have a bunch of different knobs and switches and stuff. But I also appreciate, like a 3-knob overdrive or a 3-knob delay or whatever. So I kind of wanted to keep this one simple, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh man, it would be cool to have one that just has, a ton of different options and stuff. I have one on my breadboard that I've been toying around with, but I don't know if that'll ever see the light of day unless, I land on something that I'm, totally stoked on.
Yeah. Well, you talked about that, the experience in live sound, and so from as a guitarist who's mixing versus a guitarist who's playing in a band, what are some of the things that you see from both worlds there, and what maybe would be a good sound out in front of house versus a guitarist who's practicing at their house?
That's a cool question. I think because people will ask me every once in a while about this kind of stuff, and it's always like, for me, mixing front of house for somebody, it's more about making the guitars sound good with the band. You know what I mean? Or making it sound good with the song. And actually, I don't know who did this. Some YouTuber was going around Winter NAMM asking people how to play the guitar in 3 words or less. And actually, James Valentine, who's the guitar player in Maroon 5, his 3 words, and this is my favorite, were "serve the song." Mm-hmm. I have a big pedal board and all that stuff just because I love pedals and all that kind of stuff. But the music that I play pretty much is just like punk rock stuff. So you don't need to have all this, all this stuff and a million pedals and stuff like that. As long as the guitar sound is serving the song and adding to what's happening. And especially bands with 2 guitar players to, just listen to yourself, but also listen to what's going on around you. And I think those bands that really play together instead of, 4 guys just playing at the same time, when bands really play together and they listen to each other, I mean, for me, that's how I could always, it would make my job a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But I think those are the bands that really take it to the next level, because they kind of understand the relationship between, if my sound is like this, how is it going to react? How's the rest of the song or the rest of the band going to react to, this, type of tone or something like that. And and also just like being cool about stage volumes, like there's always the guitar player that wants to be like the loudest thing, or yeah, tube amps sound good when you crank them up, but if you're playing in a 200 cap room, that might not be the best thing to serve your band, in sounding, having a really good live sound.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what you talked about traveling with a band. Matter of fact, I'd asked you where you were at, and you were telling me that you were from kind of like the Jersey Shore area.
Yep.
And so I said, well, I'm from New Orleans, and you said you had been there several times with the bands you were working with. What what is your go-to in trying to make sure those bands, being on the road mixer like you were for that time, what's your go-to to try to, maybe in less than best environments, trying to make it sound good?
It's funny because for most of my like live sound career, I was very spoiled in that like when we were in New Orleans, we did the New Orleans House of Blues, which is a cool place.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, in kind of like any scenario, like good or bad, like if I was working, even if it's a one-off with some band I never met before, I try to like just be that guy that like I want the band to know that I'm on their team. Like I want it to sound good just as much as they do, and it's like it's touring and live sound, it's just like a different series of compromises every single day. And as long as I think that you are a team with the people that you're with, it becomes very easy because they know that, you're not just being lazy, or, they know that you're not just dumb or something like, what I mean? Just having a mutual respect and understanding for what each person does, like I can't tell a guitar player like your amp has to be all the way down so that it's easy, it sounds better out front, because that's A, not gonna make them psych, or B, their sound demands it at a little higher of a volume, but you kind of got to play with it a little bit so that both worlds can be happy. And I was very fortunate to work with people that understood what I was going for, and that I wasn't just trying to screw them or make them sound bad or anything like that. But I think it's, like gear aside and all that stuff, it's just like mutual respect and being able to compromise and not having, nothing's ever going to be totally your way. I mean, maybe if you're like mixing U2 or something like that, which is probably great. I'm sure, they don't have to compromise, but, at a lower level, like, yeah, you're compromising and you got to work with people. It's just really, really that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And, one of the things I'm thinking about is like some of the listeners of the show, like a lot of them come from different places and venues that they play. And there's a lot of the like praise and worship crowd, and the way stage volume works, in a church versus, a club or a, outdoor venue. Every situation is different.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they all are. Yeah. It's just like everything is like a new, even if you're in one spot, I would be like a house guy at a couple different places, and every band that comes in is different, and if you got 4 bands that night and you don't know any of them, it's like, well, I got 4 totally different situations to work with here, and I got to make them work, and 15-minute changeovers or whatever it is.
Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed though, and it's everybody's on a different level as a player, or even bands, how mature their sound is. But like I've found that like the better the player, like it doesn't seem to matter those adverse situations, because like they can play in them no matter what.
Yes, absolutely. Like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's like the people who are really talented and know their stuff and know the music that they're playing, like they're versatile, and they're usually more than willing to be to work with you, because they get it.
Yeah. It's I think like even like a drummer, if they know how to pull the dynamics out of their kit, then there's not this huge like thing where you're it's like a balancing act for the mixer to sit there and go up and down. I mean, yeah, you want to monitor those things, but if somebody's good with their dynamics, like it's not a constantly riding the volume knob up and down.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like when a drummer knows how to play to the room that they're in, it makes all the difference, you know. Because especially like with punk rock stuff, like you get guys that are just slamming the cymbals, you know, as hard as they can, and it's like there's 50 people here, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just bothering 50 people now.
Yeah, 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 totally. Talking about drums, I saw you do something really cool on your Instagram channel with the Birmingham Sounds, with the 2017, where you ran your drum signal through that pedal.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I just I think I had like 4 mics on the kit, just like really easy, and recorded that, did a quick mix of it, and then played it out of Pro Tools through a reamper through the pedal and back in, and just to kind of mess with it and, you know, kind of blow up some drum sounds and stuff like that. Like, yeah. That was just like that was a fun thing for me. Like, I was like, I don't know if anyone is gonna enjoy this, but I just thought it would be fun, you know. And I like to when I see people like playing synths and stuff through the pedal, just because you know, it's just something different, you know. And there's so many creative people in the world now, like, that it's just cool to see how other people, you know, it's just a tool, you know. Every pedal is just a tool. It's just cool to see how people use it, you know, because there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah, that I think it was really cool. Like, it's almost like you, the way it made me think is like it's almost like you have like one of those old school channel strips where you can gain it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have one of those JHS Colorbox 500 series.
Oh yeah.
And that thing is just that thing is an absolute joy. Like, that might be one of my favorite gear purchases in the last couple of years, just because there's so many things you can do on that thing, and it sounds cool. It's fun to mess around with different sounds like that. Yeah.
I there was this one by I think it was, I saw one this week. That's what made me think of it. Demos in the Dark did one with like Alexander pedals, and he was running like a recorded piano track. It had like a full band track though, and I think he was just doing the piano track, and he had a reverb and a delay pedal, and he kicked on the reverb, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, I'm used to hearing it at a guitar, being a guitar player, what those pedals can do. But he was doing that, and then he started like playing with the delay settings, you know, and the feedback and the levels and everything. And it kind of dawned on me. I was like, you know, you could take like a Yamaha, just like basic piano, like electric piano sound, and get like those Nord patches by running it through, you know, pedals like that. And it was like, you know, I don't know why. I guess probably because it doesn't make sense to have a pedal board for keys, but that people should be doing that.
I've seen a couple of people do it, and it's cool. Like, have you heard of Small Sound Big Sound?
No.
Oh man, you have to check out their stuff. But the guy Brian is a keyboard player in a band called Cymbals Eat Guitars that I am a fan of. And I went to see him play, and he at the time when I saw him, he had a pedal board that he was running his keyboard through, and then his keyboard was going through like a Fender Twin or like a, you know, some guitar amp.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and it's just, you know, like I see stuff like that, and I'm like, everyone is more creative than me, like, you know. So I'm just trying to like see other people, you know, the way that they're like utilizing different tools, and just, you know, kind of expand my horizons and stuff, because there's just so many people doing cool things with them, you know. Like you say, like, oh, guitar pedal, like, okay, cool, you plug a guitar into it, but there's so many other things that you can do.
You know, one of the things I thought was cool that you could do is like an electric piano, like instead of like going direct out, like if you run it to an amplifier and mic that amplifier up, to
Yeah.
get that saturation.
Yeah, speakers just do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's definitely something to it that hasn't been emulated yet. And I say yet because I feel like one day it's just, it's gonna be so good that the difference will be negligible, like
Yeah.
like all those Kempers and all that kind of stuff that just like I wouldn't say it sounds exactly like an amplifier, but like it sounds pretty darn close. And either way, like you can get good sounds out of it, So it's like, does it sound good? Yeah. All right, cool. Like I feel like one day though, like they're gonna get close. I mean, there's we put a man on the moon. You know what I mean? Like there's so many smart people out there,
Yeah.
like so many incredibly intelligent people. Like someone's gonna figure something out at some point. Like
Yeah.
the technology just keeps advancing.
Yeah. Well, I heard Brian Wampler did this video, and it kind of got some buzz this week. On I think Instagram is where I saw it. But he was talking about gear like reviewers and how they play something and it's like you think it sounds awesome. He's like, but that's not the way it's going to sound in your rig because there's so many variables. And so like he went down the line where he was like playing this guitar and this amp and this pedal, and then like he went through on his studio and like was going to different impulse responses and reamping it like into different things. And he was showing just how drastic like the different pieces of gear and speakers and variables can make that demo sound completely different.
Yeah, it's even like even if you have the exact same rig, if you put the mic an inch to the another direction, it's going to completely change your sound. So, but I still get a kick out of watching gear demos and stuff. Like I'm literally the guy that's watching them on my phone. Like I know that's like really bad, but I still like to watch them. Or if I'm really into it, I'll put headphones on or something like that. But I just love gear, So I'm always watching something.
Yeah.
But I love Brian Wampler's videos. Like he just is a genius.
Yeah. Well, he said something, and I couldn't agree more. Though is like really, truly, if you have the ability, and this is expensive to go this route, but if you can go to the store and play that pedal with a similar rig, or if you're able to just purchase it and play it at home in your rig or wherever you play, like that's gonna tell you whether or not like you want that pedal or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I even just this past year I bought like a new crash cymbal and a new ride cymbal, and I had played them on other people's kits before and stuff, and seen them around and heard them, and I was like, oh man, I want to get these two cymbals, and I bought them, and no joke, I put them on my kit and I played for 1 minute, and I was like, these aren't for me. Like this just isn't. But in other situations, I had heard other people make them, and they sounded great. It just it just didn't work for what I was doing or whatever. So it's like you gotta, like Amazon's cool because you can buy something, and it shows up in 2 days or whatever. But you gotta like really kind of spend a lot of time, or at least watch several demos. You know what I mean? Like you got to like really do the research and stuff, especially just because there's so much stuff out there now. Like it doesn't make sense to play something that you're like, yeah, it's kind of what I want. Like just watch a little bit more YouTube, or go to the guitar store. I know not everybody has that
Right.
ability. Like, well, I'm lucky in New Jersey. We have a really cool store called Russo Music that's in Asbury Park, and they have like every pedal. So like I can just go there and just, oh, can I try out these couple ones or whatever? And they're more than happy to let you do it. But I know that not everybody has that, so they got to have some kind of resource.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think that's where the important role of these gear demoers are, because like I know a lot of my friends, and especially in the gear community, live, out in the middle of nowhere in a small town, rural area, and what they have access to, maybe just like Electro Harmonix or Boss, or like that's it.
Right, yeah, just whatever the local music store carries.
Exactly. And so it's hard to get your hands on stuff to try it before you buy it. And I know some guys that they're constantly buying pedals and trying to find their sound and then flipping them because of that.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's I feel bad saying this, but that's almost like one of the cool things about Amazon, because you can buy it and then return it if you really don't like it. But but then the small boutique guys, and that's kind of like the stuff that I'm really interested in. You can't do that, like it's like a whole process and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's a double-edged sword, really.
It is, yeah, and that's why I think in the last few years I've noticed like a lot of people in the gear community are making those treks to the closest NAMM, whether it be on the West Coast or East Coast, and because you can try so much of that stuff in one place.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about that boutique pedal show, because it's just like, you're like, oh, I want to try out this one, and then you're like, oh, but what's this over here, and what's like, there's so many people doing so many cool things. It's like it's hard to stay, to stay updated on it, and to have 4 mixed pedal boards in front of you with all the different stuff is really great and eye opening. It can show you a lot of stuff really quickly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about kind of going back to Birmingham Sounds. What your journey has been like, in your thought processes, and from designing the pedal to get breadboarding, to go into actually having the prototype, to producing it, to marketing that pedal. And there are no right or wrong answers here. I just want to hear your story, kind of what that's been like, and kind of maybe some insight there.
Okay, well, yeah, I like I was saying before, I kind of just I was just making something for myself, and it was an interest that was kind of just growing and growing as like I read more, or I watched more YouTube, or even just like started like cracking open the pedals that I did have, and just I watched so much YouTube on this stuff, just because there's so many great resources out there to learn about circuits and all that kind of stuff. And it had just been like my borderline obsession that I had gotten into. And I guess it was around like February, March, when I had one that I was like, okay, this is really, I felt like I was close, and was showing friends and getting their suggestions, and it would be cool if it could do this, or whatever. And then my normal day job is I'm a teacher. I teach audio at a vocational school.
Okay.
And just it's about to get kind of real here, but around that time, man, I just like I wasn't feeling good, and just like had like a lot of like just like depression and anxiety, and just like wasn't feeling 100%. And I took about 4 weeks off of work, just to kind of like reevaluate, my life, and just kind of get back into gear and stuff like that. So in that time, like I was kind of just thinking, like, what is it that makes me happy? What do I want to do? What is the thing that, makes me come alive, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just found myself more and more just like working on this pedal, and like, I'd get something, I'd find that one, magical value or whatever that really made it work. And that would make me so psyched. Like, I was just like, yes, like, and I love it. I still do. And that was like the bulk of the time, cause I had off, for 4 weeks. So I spent the majority of that time really just like working on the pedal. And, I had, if you could see my house, I had one shelf, and there's like 7 of them, and they're all the different like iterations of I tweaked the EQ here. Oh, I changed the clipping section at this version and all that kind of stuff. And that was really cool for me. And I remember like when I had one, it was still an early version, but like I was really psyched about it. And I like posted a picture of it like on my personal Instagram. And people that I'm friends with and stuff and bands and stuff, they're like, oh dude, I want to try it. I want to check that out. Or, what does it sound like and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I had planned on just making, like 10 of them or something like that. And just honestly, just like giving them away to friends, or just, selling them for cost or whatever, whatever it may be. I still didn't think like, oh, I'm going to make this company or anything. I was calling it Birmingham Sounds at that point, just because like I was like, I want it to look good. I don't care if it's just for me and my friends. Like if I'm gonna, give them a pedal, I'm gonna make it, look good and all that kind of stuff. But actually, there was one day I was just sitting around and I saw on Instagram one of the companies that I buy parts from is called Love My Switches.
Yeah,
and yeah, they're great. And they posted a thing that was like, hey, we want to sponsor some DIY small builders to go and present, have a little booth or whatever at this Stompbox exhibit in Brooklyn. And that's like an hour from me. So I was like, I was reading it and, I had seen, pictures of what the Stompbox exhibit was. And, like Chase Bliss is there and Earthquaker Devices, all the big boys are there. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just send off an email. Just say, and I'd love to show it. And because it was one of those things I was like, if I don't do this, like, I'm going to regret it, because they're not going to pick me. And like an hour later, I got an email. They're like, yeah, of course you're in.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, and I still wasn't totally done with the thing. It was still like a work in progress. And that was like, the guy Paulo who organizes it, he's like, oh, send me a picture of it, send me a write-up, I want to publish a thing in our Delicious Audio magazine about it and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like, and it was like overwhelming, but like in the best way possible too, because like I was still quote unquote like recovering or whatever, but like that was such a great thing for me because it was something that I was passionate about. And I kind of just dove into it from there. And that show was in the beginning of June. And I, made a website and, put them up for sale and stuff like that. And I actually sold one at that Stompbox exhibit. So that was really
that's
cool.
rad.
Because I was like, nobody's going to buy this. Like, you're walking into a room, like, again, like, with all the big boys and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'm nobody. Like, I'm just happy to be here, because it was something I wanted to go to anyway. And I sold one and I was like, whoa, this is like really cool. And then that really was that whole culmination of, being a part of the Stompbox exhibit was really the thing where like, I was like, okay, like I can lie to myself and tell myself I don't want this to be a real company or whatever, just because I'm afraid. You know what I mean? Like of putting myself out there. But I was like, if I'm ever going to do it, like now's the time. Like, and again, like I told myself 100 times, like, if I try it and it fails, at least I tried. But what if I don't? What if it doesn't? What if it works out? What if it becomes a really cool thing for me? And really, I mean, it has, I mean, obviously, it's not my full-time gig or anything like that, but just being able to, meet so many people and, people that I admire and stuff like that and talk about pedals with them or honestly, even now being on a podcast, like I listen to so many, like all the gear podcasts, like I listen to all of them, so like even to be a part of it, like, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like how lucky am I, and I when I really think about it, I'm just like, the only thing I can say for myself at this point is just like, thank you, like thank you to everybody, because I just feel like I feel so like lucky, to just be where I am. And, hopefully it keeps growing. But, even the experiences that I've had thus far have been just really amazing and cool. So yeah, it had been a thing that I'd worked on, and it was, for myself, and then kind of eventually I just decided to go for it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going for it.
Yeah, that's kind of I think a lot of times in a lot of stories you hear about people who are creators is getting that courage just to go for it. That's really it. That seems to be there is no other way. You can prepare forever to try to one day I'm gonna do this, whatever. But like sometimes as a creator, like the best thing you can do is just I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try it. I'm point myself in that direction, and I'm gonna learn. You know, in the process
Yeah.
of it, and I think that's a lot of times for a creator, it's the curiosity of it, and that kind of fuels their fire to go after that.
Yeah, it's another thing too. Like, I had been, as I got more and more into gear and all that stuff, and seeing all these small companies, or like companies that and I didn't realize this, how small some of these companies are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if what I think, like Earthquaker Devices has like 50 people, which 50 people, that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at how big their reach is, like they're a global company, and it's still just those 50 people. And then I get more into it and stuff, and then I see like Mythos pedals. It's Zach and his wife that do it. And as I saw more people like that, I was like, okay, like this is possible. If you just work really hard at it, and put out a good product, I think that it's totally possible. It kind of made it, I guess, a little bit more attainable for me in a sense, just like seeing how many other people can do it with either by themselves, or two people, or three or four people, or whatever. That was like really huge for me. Like, and even who I was talking to, Matt Hoops, the 1981 Inventions.
Yeah.
And I'm a Reliant K fan or whatever, and just like watching the development of that that pedal was hugely inspiring for me, and just seeing how one hardworking person can you can make some noise with it. You know what I mean? Like, uh, there's a million different ways to do it. You know what I mean? You don't just have to be a giant company.
Mm-hmm.
And so that for me, I was really huge and inspiring to me, just like seeing all the small companies do it, but they're doing large scale numbers, which I think is really cool. Just seeing seeing their serial numbers get into the thousands and stuff. I'm just like, that's so amazing. Like, it's very cool.
Yeah. Well, something I'm kind of curious about from your perspective is what the role social media has played in this whole marketplace, in this community.
Oh man, it's been like the number one thing. And when I started doing it, I kind of I started posting about it like on my personal Instagram, and then I mean, if you go on my Instagram feed, it's all gear. Like, it's my friends, and that stuff, and then mostly gear. But like, in my head, I was like, not all my friends and family want to just see pictures of breadboards and PCBs and that kind of stuff. So I had made an Instagram for it, and just started kind of posting about it there, and telling my friends, oh, if you're into gear, go on over and check it out. And it kind of just grew from there, and has been growing. And even like, if you order a pedal on my website, it's just like, how'd you hear about us? And 9 times out of 10, it's always just like, oh, I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So Instagram has been huge, and truthfully, I love Instagram. That's my favorite social media, just because I like photography and stuff like that too. And I just like looking at pictures and stuff like that. And so that's been huge, the Instagram. And I'm trying to do like more YouTube stuff, and other things within that, but for the most part, like my whole marketing and stuff has been like word of mouth and Instagram posts. So I wouldn't. I'd just be me building pedals in my house by myself if Instagram wasn't a thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting the amount of reach it gives. You know, like used to be 10, 15 years ago, it was develop that website and hopefully you get some traffic to it. But now it's like with Instagram, it's like the potential for reach is just insane. I mean, obviously it takes a lot of work and being proactive, but it's like that amount of reach, that the potential, the market potential for companies, it's just amazing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It totally is. I had a guy, I think in like Thailand or something, that was messaging me about the pedal, and I was just like, this is insane. And like at one point, we were kind of just talking about gear and stuff, and I just said to him, I was like, hey, what time is it over there? Because it's like you're on the other side of the world, and I'm like cooking breakfast in my kitchen, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to sleep. Like I was just like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I mean, hey, there's a lot of bad things about the internet and social media and all that stuff, but like when used right, it's such a cool and powerful tool, just like to connect with other people, about like the things that you're passionate about, like. And I tried for a little bit to delete Facebook, like, and eventually I was just like, I kind of miss like all my gear groups, like.
Same. Yes.
I mean, yeah, like I want to see pictures of my friends' kids and all that other stuff, but like, I also got to hit up my gear groups and see what everybody's up to.
Yeah. It's I think I recently did like a break from Facebook where I think I was off 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember. And then I kind of logged in back to doing something that sucked me back in. But I realized like all the everything, I didn't miss anything except for the gear groups. Like that was like I couldn't get my fix on Instagram or even Twitter. it was like I really missed the positive things about it.
Yeah, and I love like you're friendly with somebody like on whatever gear group or whatever, and then you see them in person at NAMM, and it's like you can right away have a conversation with them.
Yeah. But
this is the first time you're actually meeting them, and that's just like an interesting thing. I always joke like I was like telling my parents and stuff like, oh yeah, it's a guy that I met on the internet, and I was like, I know that's like not a really cool statement that anyone should say to their parents really at any age, but like it's the truth, like there's just so many people on there that are just as passionate as you and I are about gear or whatever that thing may be, and it's such a cool way to connect with people. Like I don't know, I love model trains too, and I'm in a couple groups of guys that talk about building model trains and all that stuff, and I'm like, this is great, it's so cool to see other people, what other people are doing, and you can get help with problems you're having or help other people with problems they're having, like. And it's just it's a great, it can be so positive, like when everybody's cool.
Yeah, I think so too. It's I think it's just like going around about it the right way and being smart about it. But like I really truly believe that people like have they got to find their tribe. And
yes.
And places like NAMM, it's not the only opportunity. I mean, you mentioned the other like stomp box exhibits and things like that, but really it's like people want to find their tribe and be able to find other people who are interested in the same things. And these things are huge because there's so much to our cultural like our society. There's a culture that runs within it of musicians who are into all this stuff, and like in their daily lives, like they don't run into people who unless you're really in the industry, but they don't converse about those things. But like you can go there and it's like dive in and it's like, oh man, I'm like a kid in a a toy store here, seeing everything under the sun. And it's just amazing. And what I found though is not just the gear, but it's the people. People are amazing, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, everybody that I've met in the gear community has been super like welcoming and helpful, and it's like they want it's like they everybody wants everybody to be successful and stuff and have their own little niche or whatever in the thing, and that's so, like I've just felt like incredibly welcomed, by everybody. I've received so much help from people, in finding parts or solving an issue that I was having and stuff, and everybody's just so open and kind, and
Yeah.
to me that's like amazing. Like those are the people that I want to surround myself with, you know and so it's been great to be able to do that, and and go to different shows and stuff like that, and just meet people who are excited, just as excited as I am about this metal box with knobs on it, and because my closest, one of my closest friends, he is a musician, but he doesn't care about pedals, like they're not his thing. Like he's just like, no, man, I have a pedal. It's my Boss TU too, and I love it. It tunes my guitar, like that's, and he's not like a gearhead, and so it's just cool to have. It's good to have both, really. I mean, I don't only want to talk about pedals for the rest of my life, but it's cool to just have that outlet, and be able to talk to other people and get their insight, and they'll show me something that I didn't know about, or I'll show them something, and
Yeah.
it's just cool. It's cool how kind everybody is, because it's like, if you are the new pedal company guy like I am, like essentially I'm starting like a quote unquote competing business, but nobody really sees each other, I think, as competitors. It's like we're all just
Yeah.
doing our thing.
Yeah, that's one of the rare things that I've found about like this whole community is, especially among builders, like the camaraderie that's there, and you notice that, and that they're not throwing each other under the bus.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, because I mean, you're in essence, you are competing for market share, but it seems to be, and this is the thing I keep telling people, is like, we don't realize how big the pie is, and
Right.
how many different ways it can be marketed, and different reaches everybody has, and the communities, the sub communities that they're in. I mean, there's so many factors. There's just so much room for market share, that there shouldn't be this competitiveness, like, oh, my pedal's better than yours, or my guitar's better than yours, or whatever. Like, what I've found is that the builders, they're looking at each other and saying, oh, that's really cool what you're doing, and they talk shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool like that, where everybody is kind of like building each other up, versus I think like bands, like local bands should be more like that, instead of like competing, having like a arch nemesis, local band, or whatever. It's like, no,
Yeah.
like just be cool, because nobody sounds exactly like somebody else, like just be for try and be friends with everybody, because that will never hurt you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
possibilities are endless. Yep.
yeah, and just being nice too. Like I saw some like meme or whatever on Facebook or whatever. It just said like, treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's like something like I tell myself every day. It's just like all these people that have helped me, along the way. If maybe in a couple years from now there'll be some guy that's where I am now, that doesn't know something, or needs some help or whatever, and like I want to be that guy. I want to be and do all the things that everybody else has done for me. I want to hopefully do that for somebody else, just because it makes the community so much stronger, and such a with all the negativity in the world, it's
Yeah.
cool to have like one a positive place and to go, and like people just being excited and happy and passionate about something, because that's like at least for me, like just having something that I'm working at and passionate towards, and something that I just genuinely love, has you know opened up so much, like I don't know, just happiness for me, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, that sounds kind of lame, but it really has. The gear community has been very, very kind to me, and I just am very grateful for that.
Yeah. I attest to that too. I can agree. I'm gonna change the subject here for a minute and have a little fun. And this is gonna be just a couple rapid fire things.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, it's like a game show. Top 3 favorite pedals. Go.
Oh man. Okay. The Demidash effects.
Oh,
T120. That thing is amazing. That's like a heavy use one for me lately. The definitely 1981 Inventions DRV.
Yeah.
I love that one. God, this is so difficult. Chase Bliss Mood. I've got that one, and that has been like, that's one where I like have to like tell myself like, okay, you don't have time to just be sitting around playing the guitar right now. But man, there's so many great pedals. But yeah, I guess those would be my top 3. It'll change in 5 minutes, but
yeah, that's a pretty rad list though. Okay, well let's do this. Favorite burger.
Okay, here's a funny thing. I did not eat a burger until NAMM 2017.
Really?
Yeah, I was 28 and I had never eaten a hamburger. And right before NAMM, I was doing a workshop with Sennheiser microphones, and I think that the meal options was like a vegetarian thing or like a hamburger. So I was like, all right, I guess today's the day. And I had a hamburger. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really good. I've been completely ignoring this for 28 years. And then at the NAMM show, Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum bought me my second burger ever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not really that smart, I guess, with burgers. And I don't. This might get me some hate, but I had an Impossible Burger for the first time. Like I don't know, a year ago maybe, and I really like that too. So, yeah, I don't know if I could say like what my favorite burger. I feel like my burger knowledge is not up to par to really give a good answer. But I don't know. Like if I cook them for myself, like chances are like I'll probably just put a burger on the grill. Maybe if I'm feeling crazy, slap a slice of cheese on it and just eat it like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes a piece of bacon is pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm that way too. Like the more simple it is, I'm not a big well, I shy away from mayo, so but
I'm with you there.
Yeah. So good, just standard cheeseburger. You know, if it's got lettuce, tomato, pickles, that's cool. Mustard is probably my salsa choice. So, but I had a burger today, and I had not had one of these. My wife had went over the weekend, and she's like, "You got to go try this place out." And it's I think there are other places that it's not like very like popular here, but they just opened up one in New Orleans called Shake Shack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I ordered, they had this one called like the Smoke Shack burger. It looked like a bacon cheeseburger. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. And when I got it, it had like this really cool topping on it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I think it had like the shake sauce on it. It was kind of like a comeback sauce. But it was like kind of this peppery taste. And so I looked it up, and it was like a cherry pepper, I think.
Oh wow.
And yeah, they were like diced, and it was all over the burger, and it was amazing. And I was like, I've never ever have thought about putting that on a burger. I was like, I'm gonna go get a jar of those, and I'm gonna put this on every burger from now on, because that is amazing.
That's awesome. I don't think I've ever been to Shake Shack. I know that I think that there's one in New Jersey, but I don't think I've ever been there. And if I have, I was probably lame and just ordered chicken fingers or something, like that.
Yeah. I had a friend in college who did that everywhere we went. It was like, whatever their chicken finger was, and he was
that was me.
He was a chicken finger expert. He knew the best places to get, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I used to tell people that through touring, I've had chicken fingers in every state in the United States, which I don't know if that's true, but I've definitely had a lot of chicken fingers. Like that was and still is like my go-to, sadly.
Well, hot off the press with the recent chicken sandwich wars between Popeyes and Chick-fil-A. What's your favorite chicken?
I mean, I'm just like kind of like a chicken. Like I'll just get like chicken tenders. Really, like that's usually what I go for. Like chicken tenders or chicken nuggets and fries. That's kind of like my basic thing.
Is there any chains that are like your go-to?
Well, I love Wendy's. If it's fast food, I'll always be down for Wendy's. Just because I feel like out of all the fast food I've had, Wendy's is just very consistent, and I'm a very big fan of consistency.
Yeah.
So I would go to Wendy's a lot. But when I was in high school, I remember my friends and I used to, like, our local mall closed at 9, but then the Applebee's at the mall would do like half off apps after 10. So we'd stand around outside waiting for an hour, and I would get like the boneless buffalo wings or whatever from Applebee's. I probably, like, in high school and college, I definitely had way too many of those.
yeah. I like I haven't done the Applebee's too much, but I do think that as far as cheap chicken nuggets go, Wendy's beats all the other, like Burger King, McDonald's, all of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan of McDonald's, but if I have to say something serious, I feel like that McDonald's is not as consistent. Sometimes I've had a great meal at McDonald's and I'm like, this is the best. And then other times I'm like, this is not good. Like, this is old. This is definitely from yesterday or something like that, and I just feel like Wendy's is the best. So if I had to pick one, I guess it would be Wendy's.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Of course, I have a daughter that's like the only chicken nugget she'll eat right now is the McDonald's one.
Really?
And I guess, yeah, it's like I have like my order memorized there because, like, for the entire family, because we've have to hit there so often, and I'm just like I have to go probably. To me, like, if I can go about 2 weeks before having McDonald's again, I'm happy, because
it's so easy and accessible. And do you have DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything where you live?
We've got some of that, but I really haven't taken advantage of it.
It's deadly. It's deadly. It's so convenient.
Yeah.
I actually went like a year, almost 2 years, without eating any fast food at all.
Oh, wow.
And like, I was probably like 25 or 26, and I had just gained so much weight. Like, I was honestly like 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I just like looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, wow, I look terrible. My clothes aren't really fitting anymore. And I just was done with the fast food because I was just doing it way too much. And I didn't eat it for like 2 years almost. And I'll have it every once in a while now and then, but I try to limit it just because it's really not good for you.
No, it's not. It's not. And
just so darn tasty though.
It is. There's something about a good greasy burger that just reels me in.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This was really cool. Thank you so much.
Where can one find? Just kind of lead us to where you can find your pedals and.
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Birmingham Sounds.
Okay.
Sounds with an S on the end.
Okay.
And the website is Birmingham Sounds FX, like the letters F and X.com.
Okay.
So that's the website and the Instagram, and we're on Facebook, but that's pretty much kind of just like a clone of the Instagram.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, there's the YouTube channel and all that stuff that I only have a couple videos up there now, but I did like link everybody that's done a demo of it is like linked on that channel and stuff, because I think that stuff's really cool. And so yeah, I mean, if you're not on Instagram, check out the website. Everything you need is up there.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Listeners, go check that out, and it's pretty rad. Right now, you've just got the one pedal. Is there any plans for something new in the future?
Yes, yeah. So right now it's just the one, but I'm kind of going back and forth on what I want to do next, and just kind of with the with my first pedal, I don't want to put anything out there that's like A, been done before, or B, like not cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not going to just put out, I could, if I had to, I could do like a Tube Screamer clone or something, but there's so many good ones out there, like, and unless I really hit on something that I think is like really unique and cool, then and perfected, like I'm not going to do it, just because there's no point. There's so many other great products out there. So I don't know. I'm talking to one of my buddies is a computer genius, and I was telling him about the Spin FV1 chip that a lot of people use for modulation and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, dude, that's really cool." And he was starting to look at it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do some kind of cool delay or reverb or something. I don't know. It's in the back of my mind, but definitely not in the front of my mind. I'm still trying to just get some more 2017s out in the world and build the brand and that kind of stuff. But definitely not stopping anytime soon.
Awesome. Well, guys, go check it out, and thank you so much, Zach, for I'm glad we finally worked this out, and it's been a lot of back and forth in both of our lives, but I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. This was really fun and awesome. So thank you for everything. Really, thank you.
All right, man. Thanks so much.